What's going on? How everybody doing? I'm well. I'm back at practice today, so I'm thankful.
Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans, not the media, and definitely not the Cleveland Browns coaching staff. For weeks, Shedeur Sanders had been quietly fading into the background, limited reps, sore arm, buried on the depth chart behind seasoned NFL vets. Most people thought he was just another famous last name trying to survive training camp. But then one throw. One impossible 3rd and 17 laser. And suddenly, everything changed. Veteran reporters stopped what they were doing. Coaches took notice. And Browns fans who weren't even expecting him to play started whispering a different question. What if Shedeur Sanders is actually the real deal?
I look at it at my own point of view. Like, I don't want him coming to see me right now because I want to get to where I want to go then for him to see me. I don't want him to come and see me, get a couple reps and, he's cheering like a good dad. Like, nah, you can't be proud of me right now. I got to get to where I'm going, and I know it's a lot I got to do to get there. So it's kind of like I just want everything that I'm doing to just, like, focus on this time, and I don't want no distractions because we know how the media, we know how everybody would take it and take away from the team just from him being my own dad showing up. So, it's a gift and a...
Going into training camp, Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to matter. Sure, his name drew headlines. Being Deion Sanders' son guarantees attention. But on the field, the expectations were low. The Browns' quarterback room was already full. Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP with years of experience. Kenny Pickett, a former first-rounder trying to bounce back. And Dillon Gabriel, a raw but talented prospect turning heads with his arm talent. Shedeur? He was just the rookie. And not even a hyped one. No first-round buzz, no ESPN specials, just a third-round pick with a sore arm, getting a few snaps here and there, barely enough to make a dent. Some days, he didn't even suit up. Media reports called it lingering soreness. But behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. Was he already falling behind? Was this too much, too soon? It looked like the NFL was swallowing him whole before he even got a real shot. And then out of nowhere, the spotlight found him.
That at all, or did you just know?
No, of course, it's definitely something, in your mind. And I always think about I always hear my dad's voice in my mind, all the time because it's always bone or blood. You know his motto and you know his slang with everything. So, of course, I was definitely hearing his voice in the back of my head. But at the end of the day, I want to be productive. I want to give you guys the best work, and I want to be at my best at all times.
It happened during a routine field goal drill. Nothing fancy, nothing special, just another scripted training camp rep. 3rd down, 17 yards to go. That's the kind of distance that eats rookie quarterbacks alive, the kind that makes even veterans play it safe. But Shedeur didn't play it safe. He stepped up to the line, scanned the defense, and let it rip. A bullet-tight spiral. Straight over the middle, threading the needle through tight coverage, hitting tight end Luke Floria in stride. Boom! 1st down. The sideline erupted. Players slapped helmets, coaches raised eyebrows. And in the media section, longtime Browns reporter Tony Grossi, a man notoriously hard to impress, muttered just 3 words. Play of the day. That might not sound like much, but coming from Grossi, it was monumental. This is the same guy who's been covering the Browns for decades and rarely gives rookies their flowers, especially not ones buried on the depth chart. But in that moment, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just Deion's kid. He was the quarterback who made the throw. And suddenly, the room changed. The noise changed. Because now, everyone had the same question on their mind. Was that a fluke? Or was that the first spark of something real?
It's not a height thing. It's not personal. I mean, he's rolling out, and he can't hit guys that are wide open. He is not all that great at times during the warm-up periods. He's pretty good during 7-on-7 when there's no offensive and defensive lines, but he's just not a good quarterback. And he's a 3rd-round pick. And I talked extensively yesterday, as you mentioned, on my show with Nick Padone. The problem that I have right now is that the Browns are forcing me to look at a 3rd-round pick who has no business being in contention to start a football game this year.
That 3rd and 17 dart wasn't a one-off highlight. It was just the loudest moment in a day full of quiet progress. Because once the dust settled, the stat sheet told its own story. 7 completions on 9 attempts. Clean mechanics, calm footwork. No panic, no wasted movement. And this wasn't garbage time fluff. These were live, high-pressure reps in front of coaches, media, and hundreds of fans. Shedeur looked different, not flashy efficient. He was reading coverages, anticipating blitzes, throwing with confidence, not hesitation. For a guy who'd barely gotten reps all camp, he looked like he belonged. On the sidelines, even players started noticing. The sideline chatter grew louder, heads turned toward number 2. This wasn't just a bounce back after soreness, it was a statement. And for a rookie fighting for recognition in a room full of veterans, making a statement like that, it's everything. Because in the NFL, one good day doesn't get you a job, but it does get you attention. And attention is where opportunity begins. As impressive as Shedeur's breakout moment was, let's not sugarcoat it, the road ahead is still brutal. Because in Cleveland, the quarterback room isn't just crowded, it's stacked. Joe Flacco, the wily veteran and former Super Bowl MVP, is still taking most of the first-team reps. He's been here, done this, and knows how to win over coaching staffs. Kenny Pickett, while nursing a hamstring injury, is still very much in the mix. A first-round talent with starting experience, the Browns didn't bring him in to sit quietly. And then there's Dillon Gabriel, a dual-threat quarterback with upside the coaching staff has been watching closely. He's raw, but he's flashed enough to stay in the conversation. Shedeur?
Hi everybody, it's Tony Grossi back with your Cleveland Browns training camp report. Day 10, we are presented by Maloney and Novotny. Well, day 10 was the last day of open practices for the fans. They saw the return of Shedeur Sanders after missing one day with a sore arm, and Shedeur treated them to the play of the day. They were in this field goal situation period, and
He's the 4th name on that list. Maybe even 5th some days. That throw might have sparked interest, but it didn't leapfrog him up the depth chart overnight. Not yet. And the reality is this: one flashy play won't matter if he fades the next day. In the NFL, consistency beats potential. Every single time. He's still fighting for scraps, still on a short leash, still one bad session away from being forgotten. But here's the thing, he knows that. And he's not asking for handouts, just a chance to earn it. From the moment he declared for the draft, the noise around Shedeur Sanders was loud and not always supportive. Critics didn't just question his skills, they questioned his identity. Was he really NFL material? Or just riding his father's fame? Whispers about his mechanics started early, too stiff, not enough velocity, slow release under pressure. Others doubted his arm strength. Some straight up said he didn't have it. And it wasn't just media chatter. Anonymous scouts, social media trolls, even insiders. Some said he was too fragile, pointing to his missed practices. Others called him overhyped, the product of a viral college run, not a real NFL contender. One local Cleveland host went as far as to say, "He has no business being in contention to start a football game this year." Harsh.
But not an NFL quarterback, not right now. And the fact they keep running him out there for first-team reps, and part of it I get because Kenny Pickett's banged up with the hamstring injury, so there's not a lot he can do. But this goes back. They have been putting him out there first with the 11-on-11 going back to the offseason program. They're cramming this guy down our throats, and it's not good.
In the NFL, perception matters. And Shedeur's was spiraling into the bust before it begins category. Because that's the thing about carrying a famous name, it doesn't shield you from criticism, it amplifies it. Every bad throw becomes a headline, every missed rep becomes a hot take. And for Shedeur, that meant one thing. If he was going to change the narrative, he'd have to punch back with performance, which is exactly what he did on day 10. For most rookies, the pressure comes from the outside fans, media, coaches. But for Shedeur Sanders, it runs deeper than that. Because every time he steps on the field, he's not just representing himself. He's carrying the weight of a legacy. Deion Sanders isn't just a Hall of Famer, he's one of the most outspoken, magnetic figures in all of football. And he's also Shedeur's dad. That voice? Always in the back of Shedeur's mind. He hears it on the field, hears it when he makes a mistake, hears it even when he nails a throw. But Shedeur doesn't want his father showing up to practice. Not yet. I don't want him to come and see me right now. Not until I get to where I'm trying to go. Because here's the truth. Shedeur doesn't want the spotlight his father brings. He doesn't want the cameras, the hype, the headlines. He wants the work. He wants to earn it not because of who raised him, but because of who he is. And maybe that's what makes his mindset different. This isn't a kid looking for shortcuts. This is a quarterback trying to outrun a shadow and define himself on his own terms, quietly,
Shedeur faced a 3rd and 17 situation to set up a field goal. 3rd and 17, man, he fired the ball over the middle to Luke Florio, who was pretty well covered. They converted that play and went on to kick a field goal in that play.
Relentlessly. On the field. While Shedeur Sanders was turning heads in Cleveland, another name from his past was making moves in near silence thousands of miles away. Justin Mayers. You might remember him, the 6'4", 320-pound offensive lineman who once protected Shedeur's blind side at Colorado. He didn't land on an NFL roster. He didn't go viral. He didn't get the hype. Instead, he took a leap that most players fear north of the border. The CFL. Mayers signed with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a team far from the glitz of the NFL but full of opportunity. And while it might look like a step down, it's actually a calculated move. He had his shot with the Denver Broncos during rookie minicamp. Solid college resume, all conference honors, nearly 500 snaps with just 2 sacks allowed. But the NFL is brutal, especially for linemen trying to claw their way in. So Mayers did what underdogs do. He bet on himself. In Canada, he's getting reps, film, a real chance to dominate. And if he does, a return to the NFL isn't just possible, it's likely. His journey may not grab headlines, but just like Shedeur, Mayers is fighting the same battle. Different path, same fire. They're both chasing respect not with words, but with work.